Welcome to the Old Souls and Seekers podcast, a podcast that transcends the typical personal development journey. You're not new to this. You've read the books, attended the seminars, and perhaps even tried various coaching programs, yet something still feels amiss. Elon and Guy have over 2 decades of relentless searching and $1 million invested in their personal growth quest. Here's the revelation. You're not missing anything. You're not even behind. You might have just been searching in the wrong places. In each episode, we'll uncover the most effective, straightforward practices that have profoundly impacted our lives and the tens of thousands of our clients from all over the world. This is about real, sustainable results for those dedicated to their personal and spiritual growth. So get ready to explore and enjoy the show.
All right, y'all. Let's just take 2 minutes, just hang with each other. Take a little pause in your day. Take a deep breath. See if you can unhook from your mind there for a moment. Find some spaciousness. Feel your body. Give some love to your body. See if you can locate your center channel, top of the head, all the way to the root there, down to the perineum. You want to check if you're kind of in a stressful situation, if you're abandoning your awareness, if you're abandoning your body, if you're trying to retreat and go somewhere. And here's the deal, right, with awareness and healing as you're kind of checking this out. It doesn't resolve anything. Not really. What it does, though, is it helps you identify and clear the distortions that you're perceiving it through. Now, whatever situation you may be facing in life or circumstance that you may be facing, you want to ask yourself, would I be better resourced and prepared to view this circumstance with my distortions or without them? Doesn't mean it's easier. It just means what do you want from within you responding to what's happening in front of you? And my assertion is if you respond from the parts, then you already know the future of where this is going because you've seen it all before. And it's kind of cool because there you are, you little magician. You already know the future. So there's something to be said about that because I think we're all to some degree pattern recognition machines or life forms or organisms, right? And so if you do the same thing, you can expect at least a variation of something similar as to what you've seen before. But that doesn't mean that's you. I mean, it's a part of you has merged with the mind. The mind is knee-jerk responding, the action looks similar, the energy is similar, and so you get kind of a similar result. You've all heard the line before. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. Well, I would say maybe more accurately, it's a definition of distortion. So, our work here is to help you become more responsive and less reactive. We still get to respond to life. And sometimes what we get to respond to is really fucking challenging. Someone once told me, don't take life too seriously. No one makes it out alive. And then maybe take a moment and like kind of count your blessings. Yeah, there's this thing in front of you, and it can draw easily draw your focus towards it and to make it seem like it's all encompassing, right? Yeah. And Elon's taking some reality breaths over there too, because we're also having just
What a day.
difficult and challenging conversations. Whatever you guys think about us, we still have to run a business. It's comes with God knows how many challenges, and it's not always easy and simple to figure things out and keep things going. Um, but I want to say it's like, when they survey people on their deathbeds, I mentioned it before, the two things that people overwhelmingly share as the most important part of their life is that they don't regret the things they've done. They only regret the things that they haven't done. That's like overwhelming, 95th percentile. And then the second thing is most people say that they live their life to never truly make themselves happy. They live their life to try to make other people happy, and they regret that. And for a lot of us, sometimes this feeling of being like selfish can feel really edgy. How many of you guys have the if I'm being selfish, like I'm doing something wrong? Yeah. And we want to always consider when there's like when there's like a I can only speak for me, but like when I notice that everyone like if I you ask a question or you tell somebody something and everyone responds to it the same way, I always sit with how is it that 99% of people respond to that question in the exact same way? How can we've all had the same experience that led us all to the same conclusion? That seems so unlikely to me, given the pathways and educational systems and families that people grow up in. And so at some level, there's like kind of like mass hypnosis happening where there's a piece of information that's been put out into the collective that makes them feel this way. And I only bring that up because a lot of people feel that way around being selfish, right? And here's the reality. Are you a human being? Yes or no? Give me a little head nod if you are.
Sometimes.
If you're not, it's okay. Like, welcome to our planet. It's cool. It's messy
Beep, bop,
down. It,
bop,
it's
boop, boop,
it's
boop.
messy down here, but remember, you chose to be here. All of us just came here. We don't know how the fuck we got here. We just showed up one day. Like it was like the what was that Maze Runner? They show up in the box. You're like, what the fuck are we doing here? Um, took myself out of that with the tangent there. But you're human. Does that mean you have an ego? Yes or no? You have a little ego in there? Or what we call an ego? Cool. The ego is selfish. And like there's no other way to be than selfish. I can't look through Chris's eyes. I can't look through Ruth's eyes. I can't look through Jane's eyes, or Grace's eyes, or Ian's eyes. You guys have their perspective. That's your selfish little perspective over there, right? Having your selfish little experience, worried about yourself and your well-being in your life. And that's fine. That's part of what it means to be a human being and part of just trying to survive as a physical, biological entity. Yes or no? So does it help you then to not claim your selfishness and then to try to avoid it like the plague so that you can virtue signal to the rest of society how wonderfully selfless you are? It's bullshit. You're hiding behind a facade that's unnecessary. It's like calling yourself not judgmental. You're a liar because it's a biological necessity to be judgmental. I've said this before, but if a car is barreling down on you at 65 miles per hour, you need to make a judgment call that it's a good idea to jump out of the way. Otherwise, it'd be like, hi, friend, boom, end of life, right? When you're walking towards the door, you need to make a judgment, whether it's a push or a pull. You need to be able to judge all sorts of stuff throughout the day. And so if it works on some micro unconscious level, it's going to work on the macro level too. But there's no real virtue other than the games that you play with yourself in your own little head and on social media to try to get likes, to not claim these parts of yourself and to argue, which people do, spend a lot of time arguing about how selfless they are and how virtuous and non-judgmental they are. And it's bullshit. And so I say all this because, healing work is a selfless act of love. Developmental work, any education, any time you spend time with yourself to do any sort of mastery work is an act of selfless or selfish love towards yourself. But the great part is about that is the more that you learn to love yourself, the more selfless you become towards others. Because like, just think about this, any part of yourself that you turn away from, I don't care if it's anger, selfishness, whatever, rudeness. I'm not a rude person. You've been rude before. I've been rude before. I've been selfish before. You've been selfish before. But if I go out into the world and I think to myself, I'm not a rude person. What happens when you see a rude person in society? How do you feel? What do you think? Is that perfectly acceptable? Or you're like,
I'm
uh-uh,
offended.
we got to get rid of this shit out here. I mean, this is, we're talking about it in hilarity, but this is like the nature of war. This is the nature of nation states. This is the nature of me against you. It's not me against you, it's me against myself, looking at you saying that's unacceptable. If I turn away from any aspect of myself, then when I see that characteristic trait in society, I want to get rid of it. It feels unsafe. What's really going on is it feels unsafe. And the feeling you might have is we got to get rid of it, create laws for it, or we need to kill that because it feels like that big of a threat. Do you see how this translates? And so, if you feel like you want a more peaceful planet, who needs to be more peaceful? Is it the people need to be more peaceful, or who needs to be more peaceful? This gal and lady over here, I mean, this gal and guy over here, right? Needs to be more peaceful. If I don't know peace like that within myself, I cannot identify it in society. If I only know that anger is toxic, I will see toxic anger in society. It's the nature of things. Outside of yourself is a self-reflection of every belief, every opinion, which, by the way, you didn't even create, you inherited. Do you remember as a child, anybody sitting in front of you going, here are the beliefs this family has. Do you want to indoctrinate yourself into these beliefs? Lisa, thank you for getting my jokes. I love you so much. I just hear her giggling over there. But but I'm using humor to drive the point as well, right? It's like you didn't. So none of us picked it up by choice. And you could say that we did at the same time, but not at a conscious level. Your soul took this ride. We didn't, none of us ended up here by chance. We ended up here by choice. We just don't remember the choice that we made, so we think it's chance. So whatever experience you're having, your choice is always to be complicit in that choice and or the life experiences that you had and be like, hey, some part of me made this choice. Some part of me asked for this experience. And the real question is, what's the intelligence behind this experience? Why did I make that request? Why did my soul make this request? What is this trying to teach me? If you want to learn peace, and that's your preeminent thing in life, which is one of my highest aspirations in life, is to just be peaceful. Do you know how I learn peace? In moments where it doesn't exist. If you ask God to be forgiving, as Elon likes to always, tell his story during the 2 day live event with the little soul in the sun, such a beautiful story. It's like, then you got to come down here and something has to happen for you to forgive. It's the only way to learn it. And so I come back to this main crucial point, which is whatever is going on in your life right now, your choice is either to participate fully or to kick and scream and bitch about it. I don't know. Have you guys had a chance to it's been a minute since I've written like that. I put it both in the group or if you follow me on Facebook, I put a post up there that I recommend reading through if anybody's had a chance. It's lengthy, but I'll tell you what happens for me, and maybe this happens for you, whether it's an act of creation or an act of channeling. I can't tell you exactly. I'm not clear about my channeling capacities. But sometimes as I'm going to bed at night, I get a really strong feeling, and then I get an excerpt of like 2 or 3 words. And I know that feeling because what that feeling is like my angel's going, it's time to write now. And I'm like, no, it's time to sleep now. And they're like, well, you could sleep, but I'm like, they're like, and we need you to write now. And throughout my life, I've had moments where like this comes through a lot for me. Like writing comes like channeling, where I don't know what's going to be written on the page, but it just streams out. I mean, Elon's seen I can just sit there and write in an hour, like 30 pages can pour out of me very quickly. And then I have to go back and read it because I don't even know the nature of the content. It's just pouring and oozing out, basically. So that was it was one of those. And instead of going to sleep that night, I actually stayed awake till like 1 in the morning and it just kept coming out. So I recommend reading it because like in the States right now, with Charlie Kirk's assassination, obviously it's a hot button issue, right? But it's not the first and it's not the last of this kind. And I'm not here to give an opinion on Charlie's life, who he was, or what you feel about it. But it's more of a meta-analysis of how we keep looping in the same difficult stuff when things like this happen, because these are, to me, these are moments to learn and get unified. And oftentimes, what it seems to do is that it buries people and puts them into cult of personality and actually divides more. And the opportunity is the same on both sides of the spectrum. And I think if you're a person doing this particular work, part of what creates a peaceful planet is people being able to articulate their needs, even their discontent, but from a place that doesn't speak from the distortion and doesn't have that level of charge to it, so that your message, which is important, your perspective and your opinions are important, and they're very, very, very difficult to listen to when it comes out with the charge, because it feels like you're punching people in the face into submission instead of presenting a possibility of how to articulate reality differently. Does that land when I say it that way? It's taken me a great deal of time to write stuff, and you guys can tell me to write stuff not from a place of charge, not to try to make people believe something, but to potentially look at something in the way that opens up an opportunity for a different way to approach it completely. And that means that I have my opinions, and yet I sit and I write from the neutral place, or I do my best to do that anyway. I can't say it's perfect. Yeah. And I'm just looking, I'm checking. This is kind of a little bit fundamental, but I don't think people are well practiced in this. And bro, if you want to chime in at any time, please do. Um, a practice that long ago Elon and I were taught to is they put this thing on the board and they had us recognize that the mind perceives things in a particular way. So the mind is going to look at things as right and wrong. This is every assessment of every second of every day. Doesn't matter what we're talking about. Even as I speak right now, this is what your mind is doing. Is this right? Is this wrong? Do I agree? Do I disagree? Yes? Check. Can I trust him? Right? Right? So like this every second of every day. Doesn't matter what I'm saying, what you're saying. Our bullshit meters are trying to figure out what's going on over here, right? Now, after all this stuff that they would put on the board, they would say, on this side of the board, for your being right, what's the payoff of being right? What's the payoff? Okay. And the only payoff for being right is being right. There's literally no other payoff. You're basically a drug addict taking the short-term dopamine of this toxicity within yourself, of this righteousness, and that is it. On the other side, what you give up for it is everything you want in life: connection, love, energy, vitality, empathy, all that shit goes right out the fucking window to be right. Do you know how many people Elon and I meet that haven't spoken to a family member 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years?
Not even family member, like their parents, their siblings, their kids.
And I'm not
So
making,
many.
and we're not making that wrong either. But a lot of times when you ask the question, because there could be reasons for that. Sometimes you really need to separate yourself from, toxic environments. But sometimes when you ask people, why does that happen? They're like, I don't even remember. It's been so long. I can't even remember what it is that we're angry about. Why don't you pick up the phone and call them? I can't do it. I don't even know if they'll pick it up anymore. And we have walked people through that so many times and trained them on how to go have those conversations because, we teach a lot of waking up work here, but the nature of what we teach at like level one and what we used to teach a lot of is a growing up work. And growing up work is all about cleaning things up, taking responsibility, having integrity, learning what responsibility really is, right? That's what that is. And a lot of us walk around and try to develop a new life on a very shaky foundation of an old life. Most people's version of cleaning things up was sweeping things under the carpet and then not looking under that carpet anymore. And then they're like, and I want a really spiritual, beautiful, connected, peaceful life. I'm like, yeah, you can have all that. You got to go clean that shit up first, though. You got to reorganize that to the best of your ability. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes they've passed away. And that's a whole different ball of yarn to deal with when they're not around anymore. And, to kind of loop back around on the deathbed, you will think about that. Because the thing that people really value the most in this life that I can tell is the quality of their relationships. That's the number one thing. We think it's the money, we think it's the this, that. I mean, certainly health and all that, right? But at the end of your life, you're not like, oh, I'm 95 and I'm dying. I wish my health was better. Like it's like this is the end of the road. You're
I
thinking
wish I
about,
made that extra $1 million.
yeah, right. You're thinking about the nature of connections in your life because we're social creatures and we value that tremendously. Bro, anything else you want to
I was gonna
sprinkle
just
in there?
take it in a slightly different direction of what I felt just moments ago that kind of
Sure.
ties this together.
Sure.
Um, to me, I mean, I'm just like so present to it right now. So we were on a call right now with our coaches, and we have an amazing, amazing coaching body. How many of you guys are in our programs and being coached right now? Like, how amazing are the coaches? Like, if you have a one-on, like, they're unbelievable. And we shared something with them that was very, very difficult to share, and it brought up a lot of stuff, like all sorts of stuff. And that conversation could have gone so many different ways. And the one thing that I think I know, I don't think I know has made the most profound difference for me is being held in unconditional love when you're going through something really, really difficult. Not someone trying to fix you, not trying someone try to help you, none of that. Like being held and being seen in unconditional love, regardless of how you show up. Being seen in your anger, being seen in your confusion, being seen in your fail. Like for me, it was like a failure to do something that like I so want to do, right? And people having open hearts and compassion to hold you in that, it fucking rewires you. Like I left that call, I didn't even, like when you don't know that you're carrying a weight and then the weight is lifted and then you're like, holy shit, I feel so much lighter. You guys ever have that feeling? Or sometimes like you go get a massage and they release something or a chiropractic and they release something, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I was like so bound up. That's the gift that's available to every single one of you by the virtue of you being here. Truly. That's what's going to rewrite your story. That's what's going to rewrite the script. That's what's going to rewrite your nervous system. Like, it's not about hiding yourself, contorting yourself, trying to be the thing that you think that people are. Like, how many of you guys that have been going through this work with us, you are finding that you are feeling more and more and more like your truest self every single day. Like moment by moment by moment, there's these like moments. How many of you guys like are having that experience as you go through this process? Right? And like, what a fucking gift to give to yourself. And that's why when guys talking about like being selfish, is like, yeah, give that to yourself first. Because then how much easier is it to then have that compassion and unconditional loving space for those in your life? Like in the midst of this, we got on, guy was like, yeah, Elon's taking reality breaths. Yeah, I was, because yeah, it was an intense conversation. And in the midst of this intense conversation, my son, who very, very rarely has to do this, was like basically like on the verge of puking at school. And he's blast texting me like, I need you to pick me up. I need you to pick me up. I need you to pick me up. So we're like having this intense conversation. Like this whole other side of my life is like, and then because I was given that space and held in that space, it was so easy to then pass it forward to my son, right? And it didn't feel like a nuisance. It just felt like, oh, like he gets love from me now too. And the one I just want to share like one thing. Guy and I have been having this conversation as parents, like this is why we do this work. Like we don't take programs or learn things or do our practices so we can be better coaches. I mean, it kind of happens. The access that we've had to that is by our dedication to being the best fathers that we can be, the best husbands that we can be, the best brothers that we can be, the best sons that we can be, right? Like that's our 1,000,000% focus. It is why we do the work. It is why we invest our time, energy, and money. That's our selfish nature. You get that? This, what we get to share with you, is the self expression of all the work that we do on ourselves to be that for our families. Is that clear? You guys get that? And so, one of the conversations and one of the practices that guys really highlighted for me recently, and I've heard it before, but for whatever reason, it like hit different, is this notion of you can be upset with someone or you can even discipline a child. But the most important thing is keep your heart online. And how many of you notice that when we get upset, when we get angry, when we get tired, even, what do? Subconsciously, we take our heart offline, right? And then that person isn't hurt by the words spoken. They're hurt by the energetic disconnection from you. And we know this because we've been on both ends of it, where we've pulled back our heart and when the heart has been pulled from us. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say this? Every one of us has experienced this, right? So, like, feel that for a second. Like, when someone shuts down and pulls themselves away from you energetically, doesn't that suck as an experience? And as a child, this happened to us all the time. Not even because mom and dad didn't care, they just didn't know. And so now, like my recent practice is, can I be however I be with them and keep my heart online? You don't need to let people walk all over you. You don't need to let people take advantage of you. I'm not talking about any of that. Just like, can you say what there is for you to say and keep your heart online? That one little shift can change your entire life and everyone in it. And so that's the beauty to me, more than anything of this work, is this. You're going to be human till the day you die, and probably when you come back, maybe human again. I don't know, but let's just assume you're human. And as humans, what we need and what we yearn for, Elon, yearn for,
Yorn.
yearn for, what you yearn for. What you yearn for is connection, heart to heart connection. And that's on offer here. In this space, in this community, in this container, in whatever Satori Prime is and continues to develop into, that's what I think is the biggest gift that you guys get to give to yourself. And it doesn't matter whether you're, doing this on your own and like meditations and following those transmissions, or you choose to join a level one, two, or three program. There's just more connection, right? Like at every level. But to me, that's the pulse that's on offer here is like, can I be witnessed in my grief? Can I be witnessed in my numbness? Can I be witnessed in my fear? Can I be witnessed in my aggression while someone's there presently holding me and I feel the connection is still there? That's how you unwind every single thing inside of you. Love is the ultimate answer
Mhm.
to everything. There is nothing that you bring love to that will not shift you and everything around you. And you first have to learn how to receive that and be held in that before then you can be the transmission on the planet to give that to others. And if I look at like what we're doing here with the Story Prime is we're literally creating nodes of this all over the planet, like a huge fucking grid, interconnected grid that is going to be pumping this frequency into the whatever this is. And you're a part of that. Every single one of you, just by the virtue of being here, you're a yes and you're a part of that. How many of you guys want to make this world a better place than when you came here? Look around. Just keep your hand up. Be proud. Look around. That's who's here. So give it to yourself first. Give it to yourself first so that you can go give it to your kids or your spouse or your friends or your family or whoever is near and dear to you. You get to be that beacon of light. You know,
Arguing over who's right is a fool's errand, a waste of your time and resources.
are you feeling inspired by these podcasts? Is this approach striking a chord with you? Imagine taking this journey even further with personal coaching from Guy and I, right from your own home on Zoom. Join us at our next live event. They happen quarterly. It's an accessible, cost-effective way to dive deep into these transformative practices, not just theoretically, but experientially. Attendees often share that they've experienced unprecedented levels of peace, support, forgiveness, and awareness. Remember, healing isn't just a mental exercise. It must be felt and released through the body. So here's a special gift just for you, our valued listener. Visit intuitivemind.live and use the coupon code OLDSOUL to receive 25% off your ticket. The Intuitive Mind event is unlike any other. So impactful that many participants return multiple times, some as many as 10, 12, even 15 times. Plus, once you register, we'll immediately send you a recording of a previous event so that you can start practicing right away. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to intuitivemind.live, secure your spot for our next live event using the coupon code OLDSOUL, and start your transformative journey today. Now, back to the show. It's a gift. It really is a gift to have people around you that see you in times that you don't see yourself.
Mm-hmm. We all need reminders. We're all gonna forget, right? And that's why, like, again, we harp on this a lot. The community, the people around you. I see a lot of you guys crying over there and getting hit hard by that because it's like this world has not been designed for this kind of support.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think it was designed,
Yeah.
and I really think that the human nature is that, and we probably were that for a very, very, very long time. I think we just live in a world today where Maybe that's the challenge. Maybe, listen, maybe that's why souls like came here, because this is like the most advanced teaching and class ever available to us. To me, to think that like 5,000 years ago, when we were living out in the fields and in the wilderness and connected to nature and all that stuff, do I believe it was easier? Fuck yeah, it was easier.
Bro, I had a pyramid. I was not nature.
Like, you know what I mean? Like when we were in that space, to me, it's like the essence of who we were, the connection that we had to source and God and each other and land and like, you know, for anyone that's watched Avatar, like I watched that and I'm like, yeah, my guess is that's how we kind of were when we first came here. And now it's so intense and there's so many distractions and there's so much stuff going on. It's like Guy said, to find peace in this level of chaos, it takes something. Like if you put me out in the Himalayas in a robe with all these other people in robes and all we did all day was meditate and we didn't talk and we didn't have to worry about where food came from or how to make money or you know how much easier it would be to do these things? So much easier. But that's not the world that we live in. So to me, this is like advanced Navy SEAL level training of finding peace in the midst of the chaos. But what a fucking gift to be able to find those moments. And you know what? Like I even said, because someone was saying, like, this person was really angry. And I actually shared this with a group the other day. Like, someone parked their car. I had to take Shy to practice, and someone parked their car. Like I had a car behind me, and someone just put their car right in front of me, like literally blocked me in. So I had like 6 inches in front, 6 inches back. So I'm like blocked in. And my system at first was like, oh, they'll come, they'll like move the car. And then the time is ticking, and they're not. At first, I thought they were just dropping off a kid and like moving off. And it's just like, they're not moving. They're not moving. They're not moving. They're not. And I can feel rage building up in my system. And I had like my tennis ball machine and my this, and my mind is like, I'm gonna fucking take the tennis ball machine. I'm gonna just drop it right into the side of this car. I'm gonna put this huge dent. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, yo, relax, like breathe, right? And then I'm doing the practice. I'm like, okay, find ground, find peace, and then I find that moment of peace. I'm like, ah, there it is. And then it's like, okay, not the tennis ball machine. We'll just take the tennis ball container. It'll be a smaller dent, but we'll still do it. I'm like, and breathe. This is like find ground, find my ground, find ground. And I'm just watching this thing just loop with anger. But every time I found a moment of ease and peace and ground, and it was like waves of just, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And I was like, whew, I got so proud of myself. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like every time I'm like, you got this, you got this. And I left and I didn't know anything. I literally left and I sent this person love. And I was like, Elon, you have come a really far way from where we used to be. And I was really proud of myself. It wasn't that I was mad at like the stuff that was spewing because I get it's not me, it's a part of me, right? And I get it. That part, like, it fights for what right. I'm like, I'm programmed to fight for what's right. Like, I guess planet I came from, everything is equal. So when I see inequality, like, oh, but at the same time, I'm like, you get to have your say. You get to go crazy. Like, you get to rage. You get to da, da, da. And then we get to breathe and whew, find that peace. And even if it's for like 30 seconds in the midst of that, I'm really proud of myself. Because historically, old Elon, mm-mm, mm-mm. And so you gotta like, and listen, I don't know how you were wired, but like if you know yourself to be a certain way, oh, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, do I? Oh, it's okay. You're good.
Um,
Share screen,
if
and then she got
yeah,
spooked and left.
if you know yourself to be a certain way, right? Like, so for me, I just rage and aggression, frustration. That's been like a thing that I have known my whole life. So when I find moments of peace within that, that's my game, right? But maybe for you, it's being seen. Maybe for you, it's allowing yourself to feel sad. Whatever it is. But like find pride in every single moment that you go against the grain, quote unquote, because it's not about being perfect. It's about literally finding those glimpses in time. That's how you rewrite your whole being. And that's why I'm saying, like, when I get witnessed, the reason I'm able to allow rage is because someone sat with me for years and witnessed me in furious rage where I was like, I'm gonna blow this out at you and you're gonna leave me. I'm gonna fucking kill you. And they were still there. And I kept opening my eyes and they're like, oh my God, they're still there. Like, how are you still here? Like, you're supposed to be dead. You're supposed to be gone. And you're still here. And they were like, still here, still got you, still love you. You get it? Like, that's the rewiring. And all of a sudden, now I can hold myself in that way. So when the part kicks off, I was like, I got you. I love you. You're welcome. And now let's breathe together.
I will admit though, it would have been really funny to see you pull out that tennis machine and like Tony Montana, that whole situation, and be like, "Say hello to my little friend." And just
That was,
like,
I had that scene from Big Lebowski.
yeah,
This
uh-huh.
is what happens,
This is what
Larry. You see
happens.
what happens,
This is
Larry?
what
Like,
happens.
I had this vision in my head, and I'm like, I'm just gonna be out there. Guys, I went through so many iterations. It was tennis ball machine, then it was tennis ball like holder, then it was I'm gonna you like putting like a pebble in someone's tires to just like let out all the air. And
Wow.
it wasn't like one tire was not good enough because they're gonna have a spare. We're gonna do two tires. And dude, the thing that this thing was spinning, I was like, oh wow, you are creative, vengeful, creative, but I see you.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I didn't do any of that. It was really great.
Good job, sir.
Yeah.
How's that all
Yeah.
landing for everybody today?
And and then I'll tell you like the flip side of that now because I've given myself that, like my daughter is very, very similar to me. She's super fiery and just really like she knows what she wants and she's like a pit bull. Like once she gets her jaws on something, it's there's no there's no undoing it. There's no like logicking, there's nothing. So what I've learned is through this, like holding myself is now holding her as she goes through her wave of rage and frustration and at me, directed at me. She's mad at me, not at the situation. Like, and it's like, breathe, heart online. I see you. I got you. Not like trying to fight, which everything inside of me, I don't know about you guys, like when I met with that energy, I'm like, oh yeah, let me show you how big and angry I can get. Like that's historically how I go. But I don't know. You guys have played that game probably. It doesn't work well, right? So now it's like I've given myself that gift and now I can give that gift to her. And every time I do it, even if I'm like not perfect at it, I have so much healthy pride because I was like, no one did that for me. No one did that. My parents weren't able to do that for me. Our dad was like, you stepped to him and it was like stepping to Godzilla. And then if you like pulled out this thing, he pulled out the next thing. You did that. So I was like, I don't, I don't want to do that to my kids.
Russian Godzilla.
Yeah. And I've done it. I'm not like, I've done it. I've seen it. I've seen the impact of it. Right. And then I've cleaned it up and all that stuff. But like every time I have one of those moments where I just sit in the presence of it and allow it, I was like, oh, thank God I've done all this work.
There's magic in expressing yourself as you need to while still having your heart online. And that's a real challenge. And for any parent who has ever gotten angry at their child and taken their heart offline, it's devastating to the child,
Yeah.
whether you're aware of it or not, right? It's like the worst thing you could do to a child.
Yeah.
So it's like I've had to learn that over the years with all my relationships. It's like I can still be angry. I can even show rage.
Mhm.
Again, like Elon said, I had to do a lot of work to make that safe and not feel like that's gonna destroy this human being or be toxic in some way. But it's like, but losing connection is really the most painful part.
Yeah.
And when you're at odds with a human being, that's ultimately what's really going on is two systems who've lost connection with each other and are desperately trying to find that connection again. And we do it in really weird ways because our parts are online at that point in time and they're just like knee-jerk responding on each other. And it just doesn't work through that because that's connection has nothing to do with finding the perfect agreement on how to deal with the situation. Connection is connection. Agreement works well to some degree, not always, after the connection is reestablished.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I really want to tell you that like your primary thing with patterns is not to act, but get out of pattern first before any action is taken. Yeah. And so in like in any partner relationship or any relationship with anybody you care about, like that connection is the most important thing to you, consciously or unconsciously. So it's like if that happens, think about it. Okay, well, how do we get back in connection? It's not through talking, it's through presence, right? Sometimes you find your way there through talking, but a lot of times that talking could add a lot of layers of complexity. Sometimes you say things because you're in a part that later on you're like, I didn't even mean that. I don't even know why I said that. Why did I even bring that up? Right? It's like all this crazy stuff that our minds do. Whew. Yeah, losing connection is the ultimate trauma.
Agreed.
Yeah, welcome. Some Robert wrote that. I agree. The scariest thing for this being is to not have connection, right? And so, like in all the ways, it's like however you are, you want to learn that in all the ways that you are, connection is still available to you. That's why the minis. That's why all those practices. That's why it's like these, everyone wants the big change, but I'm telling you, you don't want that. You don't want it fast. I know you think you do, but it's only because you haven't had it. It's terrifying because fast is like the ground is like melting underneath your feet. Things are changing so quickly, you don't have time to integrate what's happening. And so, of course, when you're in pain, like the obvious thing is let the pain end, right? Let the suffering end. But the pain is probably not as painful as you think. It's how the parts are dealing with it that are really amplifying the suffering around it. And I'm not saying there's not really difficult situations. Obviously, they're mega painful. So I'm using that more as a general rubric with exceptions, certainly. Having said that, like where you sit about any particular situation or any relationship in your life is going to mostly determine the level of the suffering you have around that situation. There are situations that have been going on in my life now for 7 years, but the level of suffering I used to experience 7 years ago when they started versus today is like night and day.
Yeah.
I used to just spin out of control every time I had to deal with that circumstance or that thing would happen in my life. I would like, just pour sweat. I could feel my awareness leaving my body, terror, worst fucking thoughts on planet Earth constantly about where things were going. And today, some of those things are still going on, but like I seem to be able to maintain stability while that's happening. And so, like instead of being at a 8 or a 9 and suffering, I'm like at a 1 or a 2.
And it helps you make infinitely better choices.
Sure.
And then you're not prolonging the energetic thread of that. And it's like, to me, whether it's stability or peace, it's like if you, moment by moment by moment, something's arising, and then you have a choice, and then you choose peace or stability versus chaos or anger or whatever it might be, right? Then what you're doing is like you're seeding that not only into your nervous system, but into your future. So then the things that you walk into tend to be more stable and more peaceful because that is the energy that you're taking that next action from. But what most people do is we take action from the fight, flight, freeze response, all the past trauma, we literally take action from it and then we just put it right into our future and then we're just walking into it.
Yeah. And you got to remember that energy is like a boomerang, right? So whatever you put out is going to come back to you anyway. So if you're putting out chaos, that energy, or you're putting out scrambling to try to find something, it's going to boomerang back and hit you again anyway. You're going to go through that lesson irregardless. There's no diving this shit. How many of you guys have tried to not deal with that circumstance? It doesn't it just keep arising in different variations? You're not ducking it. And
That's a life
off,
lesson.
yeah, and oftentimes it comes back and it sucks even more. It's harder the next time,
Definitely.
right? And you're losing patience with it, and you're losing resource because you're tired or angry, or like you have, here's the reality. Most of humanity at this point in time, I've included myself in this many a times, is dealing with a great deal of apathy and resignation. We don't believe that things are going to get better. In fact, the media machine is that they're going to get worse most of the time. You got to remember human beings are really, really bad at predicting the future. Really bad. I mean, like historically shitty at predicting the future. And so, like, all the predictions that get made, at least in my lifetime, when I really assess, we were so off and so wrong. I always like to say this, but I'll remind you again, it's like the CEO of IBM in the 1960s believed that the marketplace for a personal computer was four personal computers on planet Earth. Four. He thought there was no future in the personal computer market. Now that we're in 2025, I think we can assess that this man had no fucking clue what he was talking about.
I got one of those four.
Yeah, and he was the preeminent mind of the computing space at the time. Like the number one guy you ask the opinion for. This pattern resounds constantly. Every time there's a doomsday scenario in our economy and world war and like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys remember this, but in the 1990s, like every movie was like there's going to be war in the streets. Do you guys remember this? Like all the action movies. It was like Demolition Man. It was like society has crumbled. There's war in the streets. It was Kurt Russell trying to escape from LA. Like the Predator. Like there's all this shit. And the reason for that, I mean, this is really interesting. The reason for that was at that time, violence like was going to historic highs in urban environments. Okay, and so the predictions were, if this continues, there's a complete dismantling of our society. Okay, has anybody ever read the book Freakonomics by any chance? Okay. Of course you have, Dan. Of course you have. I would have asked everybody, but if I saw you on screen, I'd be like, everyone except for Dan, have you read Freakonomics? Anyway, so I want to set you a little thing because I want to teach you something about how our minds work in linearity as we see progression, and it's just not the nature of things. So, really quick, little story from Freakonomics. So suddenly in the late 1990s, this pattern of violence in the streets goes off a cliff. Unexplainable, right? And for those of you guys who lived or remember New York City at that time, everyone gave Rudolph Giuliani all the credit for getting rid of all the violence in New York because he put police officers on every corner. Now that makes total sense, like logical sense. Yes, you're right. More streets, more cops, more safety, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is they saw this in every urban environment, not just in New York City. So Freakonomics does a whole dissertation on why this is, and the story begins with a ruthless dictator in Romania in the 1950s. Okay. And at that time in Romania in the 1950s, they were having a depopulation problem. They weren't replacing their workforce fast enough. So as the dictator did, he basically said every family needs to have at least two children, or there was like some fine punishment, et cetera, et cetera. People start having a lot more children in Romania. Within 20 years, they see a vast spike in violence across all of Romania. Why? Because suddenly people are having children that they don't want to be having. They didn't want to have those children. They were forced to have those children. And so the care and love and attention that was given to that child was null and void. When a child is feeling disconnected, where do they go? Towards violence tendencies, more gangs, more violence. Okay. So now they expand that out meta. You know what happened in America? In 1970s, women finally had the right to abort and contraception and all that kind of stuff took hold, right? Again, you may have a lot of opinions on that. Fine, I'm not trying to bring that topic up here. But what I want to say is women had the right to finally have or not have a child. So there was a lot less of unwanted children in this world in America. And within that 20-year period, guess what happened? Our crime rate plummeted because you had a lot more children getting care, love, and presence from their parents.
Hmm.
Okay. The way that they prove that true is there were states that had made those changes before it became federal law, 5 years before. And those states saw the same statistic decline 5 years prior to the federal average. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So by giving people the choice, you had people who were more connected to their children. That leads to a world of less violence. And as violent as you think our world is right now, it is an historic low of violence. Even though it seems like there's constantly shit going on in our world, it's historic low across the board. The world is safer, more prosperous than it's ever been before, right? It just depends on what you're paying attention to. So again, what a weird way to think about it, right? And in the context of history, they found these points. But my point here is that like you are sitting there and we are sitting there trying to predict an outcome that may or may never happen. And if you live your life expending a lot of energy trying to protect yourself from a future that may never arrive, what a waste of time and resources on your part, right? So it's like there is a lot of room for abstraction in the mystical, spiritual sense, multidimensional way of our reality. And you really don't know what can happen because if you really listen to people, a lot of really interesting stuff happens to people at different points in their life. You know, it's like 40 years of struggle, and so like this moment in time happens, and this person becomes wildly wealthy or very influential in our society. But it's like it didn't happen, it didn't start when they were 20. It happens like later in life. Like for those of you guys who we're going to be on Cryon's Healing Wednesday in a few weeks from now, if anybody follows Lee Carroll's work. And Lee basically got bopped over the head at 40 years old. And they're like, you're a channel now. And like just this gift was given to him. And now he's been channeling for 35 years. We were just talking to Lee and Monica yesterday and has changed the lives of countless individuals. And he was like, he was the guy that during music shows sat on stage and fixed the audio tracks while a live band was playing. Like that was his life. So unpredictable, right? You just never know. You just never know. I have a question for you guys. So Elon and I are like in this. So let's can we complete that conversation? Good. Um, I want to just ask you guys a question. How many of you guys, and I just don't think we do a well enough job of this, and I want you to know what's available to you as resources if you want. How many of you guys are wanting to share what we do here as a community on a more regular basis with either people in your life or whatever social influence that you have? Okay. How many of you guys have no fucking clue how to do that? Even if you want to. Okay. Fantastic. So I want to give you some resources that we have for you to do that. Okay. And this is not a have to. It's like if you want to play, please play. Elon and I are always looking, how can we integrate you guys more? My sharing is not going well. Um, yeah. So I'll get back to that in a second. Um, so a few things. First of all, these calls, by the way, these ones that you're on right now that are bi-weekly are free for anybody inside and outside this community. I don't know if you know that. If you simply want to just share these talks with people, you're welcome to. There's two ways to do it. Number one is you can go to satoriprime.com/register. You can send that link to anybody. They can sign up for these calls. So if you just want them to listen to these two maniacs ramble about right and wrong for an hour every other week, we're so happy to ramble to your family and friends and try to convince them that you're absolutely right about everything in spirituality.
We
Okay?
promise we will.
Yeah, we will make you look so fucking good. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, if you acquired nervous system reset protocol in your members area, you have an entire affiliate area. Are you guys aware of that? Do you guys, some of you guys don't even know what affiliation is. Affiliation basically means you have a URL, like a link that you share with people, whether you put that on social media, you email it to somebody, you text it to a friend, you decide how you want to go about that. You'd be like, hey, this program has really helped me. I think it would really support you as well. Here's my link. And what that means is if they buy it, we will pay you 50% of that fee, essentially. We'll remunerate you for sharing this work with the people, okay? Is that clear? So if you go into your back office, just so you know, in your members area, there is a training now on how to be an affiliate as well. Okay, so if you're like completely like, I don't know what this is, just you know, companies like Netflix, Amazon, pretty much everything online has always been built by affiliations. That's by people sharing links, registering people, and yada yada yada. So again, it's an easy way to share our work, and again, we will happily remunerate you for referring people to us. The last but certainly not least, and it's kind of a more of an initiative. It's more of a try. We don't know whether this is going to be something that works. Sarah, are you comfortable if I share the certification stuff with them? Is that okay? Okay. So basically what we're a lot of times it's just like a positioning thing. So how many of you guys are coaches or healers or therapists in some particular way? Awesome. Cool. So like you're my target audience here, but it certainly doesn't mean that it wouldn't be for other people. Okay. So what we're essentially turning is the nervous system reset protocol. We have turned it into a certification program. Okay. It doesn't mean that we won't still, sell it the way that we have for people who just want to get access to this work. But for people who are more desiring to have this as like a tool in their tool belt, again, you're a coach, you want to give it to your coachees, you're a therapist, you want to use these practices in your practice, whatever it is. Obviously, the use cases for nervous system regulation are like across the board. Even if you're a company leader or a leader in any capacity, like learning to regulate and attune to other nervous systems is a tremendous asset to you. So, with that said, what we're doing is we're launching a certification process. Essentially, if you know what our accelerator is, it's the same thing. It's basically a 30-day experience. You get the training, you get 2 live calls with Elon and myself, ticket to our live event, and actually a 4-hour intimate call with Elon and our team as well. And basically, our desire is to train as many people to feel super confident in this work and bring it out into the world. The other major part of joining the certification process is we will give you, and this is only for people who go into the certification process, we will give you resell rights for that certification and give you a 80% commission on that sale. Okay. So essentially you're keeping most, if not all, like almost all of the profits from that referral. That's going to be $499 is what we're selling the certification for. So basically, if you just would sell two or whatever, refer to certifications, you're already $300 basically in your pocket on your initial investment. Okay. If you're interested in getting that certification, do me a favor, just email me. But that would mean that you would have to buy the certification even if you have NSRP right now. But you can go jump on 2 live calls with Elon and myself and do the rest of the experience. But we're not going to give that to people and the resale rights unless they are part of that certification process. Does that make sense? Okay. So again, you can share this work, this call, it's free. You can be an affiliate. You don't have to pay anything for that. Just share the work and you still get to share in 50% of the profits on the front end. But if you're our intention with the certification is to really, besides bringing on more coaches into the community, influencers, healers, therapists, etc., is to give you an opportunity to have an easy way to share this work while increasing your income. So you can create like an additional revenue stream in your business. Some of you guys know, like I promote this educational thing about how to promote stuff on Instagram, and that's exactly what they do. It's a $500 program. You keep most of the profits when you refer it. And they basically have built a very large community off of the referral of other people. So we'd love, love, love to start that as well and have more partnership inside the organization with you guys. So just letting you know that that's something that's already ready to roll out, and we're in early testing stage with that. But if you want to be part of that group, you're welcome to participate and see how that goes as well. How is that different from your practitioner's training? It's different because it's really just really focused on the co-regulation piece. Or I would say like if you're an L3, that level of mastery is just much deeper and richer. With NSRP, we just really want to give people an easy way to share this work, make good money, and at the very least be proficient in the co-regulation techniques. Okay. Yeah. So just looking at your questions. Where is the link to NSRP? Yes. So if you log into your members area, it has to be on desktop. Your mobile app does not have an affiliate area. It would be too much to scrunch it all in. So if you want to find your affiliate links, they are only available on desktop. Okay. So you'll have an option to either look at your courses, look at the community, or go into your affiliate area, and all the programs are lined up over there. And then everything is labeled pretty easy. So just figure out what it is you want to share, and it's easy to share. And then yeah, all our affiliate area as it is, it's 50% commission. Okay, but for people who sign up for the certification, we bump that to 80%, and it's more focused on exactly what we're trying to achieve there than just like here's a bunch of classes to take. Make sense? Cool. All right, friends. So good to be with you. I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Love y'all. Have a great few weeks, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.
Thank you, dear one, for choosing to share a bit of your day with us. We value you greatly. And as a way to give back and help you to deepen these practices, we want to invite you to join our incredible community on Facebook. You can do so easily by going to joinoldsouls.com and ask for an invite. This is our private community where old souls and seekers are able to grow and share their journey with others. We hold exclusive weekly live streams, we answer your personal questions, and offer valuable insights that we won't be able to share here on the podcast. So again, just head to joinoldsouls.com and grab your invite today. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast, please head to iTunes and leave us a review. It's the only way other people can find this show. So if it's making a difference in your life, please share the love. Until we meet again, have an amazing week, dear one.